We are commencing live streaming now, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Town Clerk. Good afternoon. I'm Councillor Anne Johnson, Mayor of Tavistock Town Council. I will now ask members present to indicate by physical show of hands that they can hear proceedings. That's everybody. Thank you very much. Do we have any joining by audio link? I don't think we do, Town Clerk, do we? No.
No, we don't, Madam Mayor.
Anne, you're a little bit quiet for me. I don't know if anybody else is having problems.
Okay, is that better? Am I quiet for other people? Can people hear me?
You're breaking up a bit on mine, but that may be my machine.
Okay, sorry, I'm in a room on my own, so there's nobody else here in the house, so it shouldn't be too many distractions. If we can take a roll call of councillors present, please. Mrs. Smallacombe, can you take the roll call, please?
Councillor Crawford. Councillor Ellis. Councillor Mrs. Ewings, not at the moment. Councillor Fay. Councillor Hutton.
Yeah.
Councillor Mrs. Johnson, we know. Councillor Lewis. No. Councillor Mrs. Mann. Councillor Moody.
Yeah,
Councillor Mrs. Parker.
I think Councillor Ewings will be joining us shortly.
Councillor Parker.
Present.
Councillor Barry Smith.
Here.
Councillor Harry Smith. Councillor Squire.
Present.
Councillor Venning. Yeah. Councillor Ward.
Yes, I'm here.
And Councillor Williamson. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Smallacombe. Councillors and officers are asked to ensure that they have included their name against their thumbnail video so they can be clearly identified by viewers. May I take this opportunity to remind councillors that, subject to certain conditions, standing orders provide for speaking once on each item on the agenda. Members who wish to speak are asked to use the Zoom raise hand facility, or you can wave at the screen. That's probably as effective as anything. Or if that doesn't work, please message either the Town Clerk or Mrs. Smallacombe. The quorum for this council is 6. May I remind councillors and the public that the documents for this meeting are available on the council website. Please note that members are asked not to use the shared documents facility in this meeting. In addition, may I remind you all to stay muted and until called to speak, and to remute once you have spoken. When I call you to speak, I will state your name. In the interest of transparency, try not to use the comments facility to communicate during the meeting other than with myself in the open forum. In no circumstances should it be used for private discussions. Voting will either be by assent of the members or by roll call vote. For a roll call, members are asked to state their for, against or abstain when asked. If a councillor declares an interest, they will be temporarily removed from the meeting until the matter has been resolved and then readmitted. When the public part of the meeting concludes, there will be a brief adjournment for 10 minutes to enable councillors to log back in for the confidential part of proceedings. Right, thank you very much. We move on to item 1 then, please. Apologies for absence, Town Clerk.
We have received none, but we do understand that Councillor Ewings may be late.
Thank you. Move on then to item 2, declarations of interest. To receive disclosures of unregistered or other interests from councillors on matters to be considered at the meeting. The disclosure shall include the nature of the interest. If a member becomes aware during the course of a meeting of an interest that has not been disclosed under this item, they must immediately disclose it. Under the Code of Conduct, councillors with a registrable interest must leave the room for the duration of consideration of the item to which the interest relates. Those with a other interest must apply the tests set out in the Code of Conduct as to whether or not there are circumstances that might enable them to remain. Move on to item 3, minutes of the council meeting. To confirm the minutes of the annual meeting of Tavistock Town Council held on Wednesday, the 22nd of July 2020, which have been circulated. So,
Move acceptance. Move acceptance, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. I have one slight amendment to make, please. Under item 10, the very last sentence, which it's just a small thing, but the Queen's Award for Voluntary Service wasn't to me personally, it was to one of the groups which I am heavily involved with, which is Tavistock and District Outdoor Education Forum. So that needs to be amended to that. Thank you very much. Right, so Councillor Smith has moved the minutes. Do we have a seconder for those, please? Thank you, Councillor Parker. Those in favour, please show. Thank you very much. Are there any matters arising? No matters arising. Councillor Lewis has joined us. Thank you. Welcome, Councillor Lewis. Thank you. Item 4, public representations and questions. Do we have any questions, Town Clerk?
None received, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Items requiring a decision. Item 5, Budget and Policy Committee, to consider the minutes of the meeting of the Budget and Policy Committee held on the Tuesday, the 14th of July. Councillor Hutton, please, Deputy Mayor.
Good afternoon, everybody. These are the minutes and recommendations that we need to go through the meeting of the 14th of July. Minute 443, apologies for absence. 444, confirmation of minutes. 445, declarations of interest. 446, corporate service plan. And there's recommendations with this, as I will read from the minutes. Recommended that Tavistock Town Council, 1, endorse and adopt the cooperative service plan as the basis for the delivery of related council services 2020 to 21 and the accompanying remedial measures to address the impacts of the coronavirus pandemic. 2, endorse and adopt the Tavistock Town Council organisational risk register as submitted. And 3, write to the principal authorities, West Devon and the District Council, outlining the difficult and dangerous situation in which the council finds itself and seeking the pass-through some of the coronavirus support provided by government to them to support local services to the community. Noted that, shall we stop there?
No, sorry, you can carry on.
Shall I just finish the last little bit? Yeah. Noted that section C7 of the risk register required a correction, as it should show 4 and not 3 as currently for severity. Therefore, the score has changed from 12 to 16. Okay.
Thank you, Councillor Hutton. So we have a recommendation before us, which I will second. Does anybody wish to comment on it, ask any questions? Councillor Parker?
Just a question on item 3, Madam Mayor, recommendation 3. Has there been any progress on that with West Devon and Devon County?
Town Clerk, but I imagine we wait for this council meeting before we write.
Correct, Madam Mayor. Once the decision is made, we'll be in a position to make representations.
Thank you.
Understood.
Okay, any other questions? So we've got a recommendation which has been seconded. We'll put it to the vote now. Those in favour, please show. Thank you, that's carried.
Okay, I'll carry on, Madam Mayor. 447, Capital Finance. Recommended that Tavistock Council, A, note the current situation and receive further reports on the financial status of the organisation to inform financial planning, and B, in the circumstances, commission its accountant to provide ongoing review and reporting of the financial position of the council for the remainder of the financial year.
Thank you, Councillor Hutton. You've recommended that. I will second it. Anybody is out for debate? Anybody wish to ask any questions? Right, if we can put it to the vote, those in favour, please show. Thank you.
Thank you. Minute 448, Pannier Market, Town Butchers Hall and Events. Again, a recommendation on the Market Reeve subsection, recommended that we, Tavistock Town Council, endorse the interim proposed charging structure, a rent-free 2-week period from reopening on the 2nd of July, then half rent for 4 weeks with a full review after the 2nd week of half rent. Instruct the Market Reeve to undertake an extensive review after a 6-week trading period to ascertain the next phase of reopening on the basis outlined. Following the above review, at about 6 weeks, the Reeve ascertain the trade footfall and determine timescales for returning to full rent and whether there is a case for an increase in trading days and whether other council assets can be utilised to facilitate the next stage of returning traders.
Thank you, Councillor Hutton.
I recommend that.
I've got a recommendation which I will second. It's out for thank you. It's out for debate. Anybody have any comments or questions to ask about it? Councillor Benning, were you wishing to speak? No. Right, no comments. Right, can we put that to the vote then? Those in favour, please show. Thank you. Continue, please.
B, Town Hall and Events Manager. It was recommended that authority be delegated to the Town Hall and Events Manager with regard to the operation of the reopening of the Town Hall and Butchers Hall, conditional. It was undertaken in line with the government guidance and council policy.
Thank you. So we have a recommendation which I will second. It's out for debate. Anybody wish to comment or question on that recommendation? Right, can we vote on it then, please? Those in favour, please show. Thank you.
Thank you. Minute 449, Bedford Square Trading and the Farmers Market. Recommended that the phased introduction of charging for the Farmers Market on Bedford Square be endorsed on the basis outlined above, which you can read about.
Thank you. So we have a recommendation which I will second. Anybody wish to comment on it? Is that Councillor Fay? Did you wish to comment on it, or are you jumping the gun to vote? Right, okay. Right, we vote on that then, please. Those in favour, please show. Lovely, thank you. Right, continue, please, Councillor Hutton.
450, Townscape Heritage Initiative Public Realm. Recommended that Tavistock Town Council approve a virement not exceeding £10,000 from the property maintenance budget, should it be necessary to complete the revised work on the public realm.
Thank you. So we have a recommendation which I will second. Any debate, comments? Councillor Smith, please. Councillor Harry Smith.
Yes, just to point out that was factual at the time, but following on from debate since and a meeting this afternoon, I don't think it's because it's not actually shown in the next item as a possible virement anyway on the document we received. So I thought that we removed the sort of possibility of a virement by the sale of the cobbles from the site, but it was correct at the time.
Right, thank you. Town Clerk, did you wish to comment on that?
I think we're doing all we can to achieve value engineering. We don't yet know whether or not all the measures that we have in place will be successful. I'd be guided really, I think, by the General Manager as to whether or not he feels that that is a provision which he would continue to recommend be in, or if he feels that matters are sufficiently far developed that it need no longer be there. If you're happy to go to him, then perhaps we can take a view.
Yes, thank you. General Manager, please.
I prefer for that minute to stay in at the moment, or recommendation in relation to the environment. I'm fully expecting that we won't need to use it, but we still need to negotiate in relation to the sale of the cobbles, which hopefully once we've got over the line, that then becomes obsolete.
Okay, that sounds a very sensible move. So got a recommendation which I will second. Any other comments or questions on it? Can we vote on that then, please? Those in favour, please show. Thank you. Any against? Any abstentions? Right, thank you. Continue, please, Councillor.
451 Guildhall Courtroom. 452 Annual Audit 2019-20. A recommendation that Tavistock Town Council note the finding of the Internal Auditor's report and endorse the consequential actions.
Thank you. I will second that. Any comments or questions? Can we please vote? Those in favour, please show. Thank you very much. Continue, please. Yeah.
453 Model Code of Conduct, Local Government Association consultation. Recommended that Tavistock Town Council welcome the consultation on a draft model member code of conduct from the Local Government Association, while commenting A, that the recommended sanctions for serious misconduct were inadequate to deal with the more serious cases of misconduct and poor behaviour. As such, the LGA be invited to canvass government to adapt the provisions as recommended by the Committee on Standards in Public Life. And B, in response to the questions listed in the executive summary, the Council respond as follows. Question 1, to a great extent. Question 3, passive tense. Question 4, to a great extent for all 12 obligations. Question 6, each specific obligation followed by its relevant guidance. Question 10, no. Question 10A, separate code. C, and furthermore, copy its response to the sector body, the National Association of Local Councils and Devon Association of same.
Thank you, Councillor Hutton. So we have a recommendation which I will second. Anybody wish to comment on it? Thank you. Can we put that to the vote then? Those in favour, please show. Thank you. Continue, please.
454 Heritage Interpretation. Recommended that the 3 councillors who had previously volunteered to feed in the views of Tavistock residents to Tavistock Heritage Trust on prospective content for the composition of the Interpretation Board plaque be nominated, namely councillors Mrs L Crawford, Mrs Ursula Mann and Mrs Ginny Parker. We also ought to ask though, are there any other nominations at this stage? So if there are no more nominations, then I recommend that they are the 3 people who are nominated. And the second bit of this is that the purchase of SurveyMonkey by the council for a period of 1 month to enable the conduct of the survey to be approved.
Thank you. We have a recommendation which I will second. Any comments on that, please? Councillor Mrs Mann, please.
Just to say that the survey has gone live today on the council's website under council news. So if you'd like to share that with any of your constituents, that would be a good thing to do.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. 455, reopening the Pannier Market and Town Centre. 456, Public Works, Lombard. And then we excluded the press, and we'll go on to that later on. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hutton. We now move on to item 6, General Finance. Little A, schedule of payments to consider and endorse the monthly accounts as at the 30th of June 2020. The schedule was available on the website. Did you have any questions at all, Town Clerk, please?
I had one question and I'm seeking the information in order to be able to respond, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. So can we agree that the schedule of payments is okay to pass? Those in favour, please show. Thank you. Move on to little b, budget monitoring report. The budget monitoring report to the 30th of June which was circulated. So that's the first quarter. I think we'll be looking at this in greater detail as all members will have the opportunity to discuss it in the next few weeks. So we will be looking at the budget in great detail. So were there any questions about the budget monitoring, Town Clerk? No, is that, sorry, are you going to speak or just no? Okay.
My apologies. No.
Madam Mayor, Councillor Ewings has had her hand raised.
Sorry, Councillor Mrs. Ewing.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I was just going to ask about the miscellaneous staff costs. And I assume that's from furloughing and things.
If I
like
can
that.
just say, there is one payment on there which is being taken off. So I'm happy to pick up with the member afterwards, if that's okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Right, so can we note the budget monitoring report? Thank you. Item 7, Development Management and Licensing Committee to receive and consider the minutes of the meeting of the DMNL committee held on, first of all, the 30th of June, please. Councillor Ward.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I rise virtually to present the minutes of the DMNL on the 30th of June. 416, apologies for absence. 417, confirmation of minutes. 418, declarations of interest. 419, Dartmoor National Park Authority. 420, town planning issues. There is a recommendation for 420A, recommended that Tavistock Town Council note the adoption of the supplementary planning document by West Devon Borough Council.
Thank you. I will second that. Do we have any comments or questions on it? So we have a recommendation before us. Those in favour, please show. Thank you. Continue, please, Councillor Ward.
421, general correspondence. 422, urgent business brought forward at the discretion of the chairman. And under that heading, we discussed the approval of planning application number 3614/18/OPA, land at Plymouth Road, Tavistock. 423, planning decisions and applications. 423A, planning decisions by West Devon Borough Council. 423B, new planning applications to West Devon Borough Council. Recommended that the views of the Town Council as listed in Appendix B be passed to the local planning authority for consideration.
Thank you. We have a recommendation which I will second. Any questions or comments on that? Those in favour then please show of accepting this recommendation. Thank you, members. You could continue, please, Councillor Ward, with the minutes of the meeting of the 21st of July. I think.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. 459, apologies for absence. 460, confirmation of minutes. 461, declarations of interest. 462, Dartmoor National Park Authority. 463, town planning issues. The committee had been asked to note a briefing report provided by a local resident regarding dust and other issues at the Bovist home site, Cannington Road, Tavistock. From that discussion came the following recommendation: that Tavistock Town Council forward the report to all Tavistock ward members of West Devon Borough Council in order that they are aware of the issues raised, so that they would be able to take forward any issues they may not already be aware of. Secondly, Mr. Patrick Weimer at West Devon Borough Council, Head of Development Management Practice, and Devon County Council with regard the adoption of the roundabout at the site.
Thank you, Councillor Ward. So you have a recommendation which I will second. Any comments or questions on that recommendation? Councillor Parker, please.
Just an update, Madam Mayor. I understand that the resident has secured a meeting with the Chief Executive of West Devon Borough Council in order to discuss this very issue. So our comments have actually gone that high.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Those in favour of that recommendation, please show. Thank you very much. Continue, please, Councillor Ward.
463B, Tavistock Active Travel Roundabout Meeting. We received a briefing from the Vice Chairman of the committee, Councillor Mann, from which followed a recommendation that at the next meeting of Council, a member be appointed to liaise with Transition Tavistock to take this matter forward on behalf of the Town Council.
Thank you. So we are now seeking a nomination, which I will second. Comments, debate on this? Do we have somebody who's interested in putting their name forward? Councillor Mrs. Ewing.
I was merely going to comment, Madam Mayor, that you didn't have a name, but
no, because we haven't.
As the Vice Chairman of the committee, would it be suitable that Councillor Mann represents us, or who is she representing at the moment?
Councillor Mrs. Mann, did you want to comment on that? Then Councillor Crawford, please.
I think the actual discussion it was that because I was leaving the DMNL committee, that it would be best for the DMNL committee to meet and actually make a recommendation from the new membership of the DML committee. So that's why it was left blank. And I'm not sure if that group who's here tonight wants to be recommended, but I would assume it's somebody from DML that would be the best to be nominated.
I'd agree with that. Thank you. Councillor Crawford next, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to say that I would be interested in taking that over if Councillor Mann is not does not wish to do that any longer.
Thank you. Do we have any other volunteers or nominations? Councillor Mrs. Mann.
Just to say, I'd second Councillor Crawford's nomination.
Right, thank you. So, Councillor Squire.
I'd second that.
Right, thank you. Right, so we have one candidate who's been proposed and seconded. Can we just have a show of hands to show who's in favour of that, please? Thank you. Can I thank you, Councillor Crawford, for taking on that responsibility?
Thank you.
I think it will tie in well with the Environment and Sustainability Group as well.
Exactly, that was my thinking. So
thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for the vote.
If Councillor Walker could continue, please.
464, general correspondence. 465, urgent business brought forward. 466, planning decisions and applications. A, planning decisions by West Devon Borough Council. B, new planning applications to West Devon Borough Council. From which the recommendation that the views of the Town Council as listed in Appendix B be passed to the local planning authority for consideration.
Thank you. We have a recommendation which I will second. Any comments or questions on it? Thank you. Can we put it to the vote then, please? Those in favour, please show. Thank you. I think that's everybody. Thank you very much indeed. So did you wish to conclude, Councillor Ward?
That concludes the presentation of the two sets of minutes, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much indeed. We move on now to item 8 on the agenda, public space protection orders, control of dogs in public spaces. The Borough Council are carrying out a consultation on public space protection orders, as well as the existing regulations concerning dogs. They're considering adding new orders in the public space protection order areas as follow: limiting dog walkers to walking 4 dogs at any one time. Dog walkers must carry bags at all times to collect their dog's waste, and dogs must be kept on leads on roads within 30-mile-an-hour speed limit zones. If I can ask the General Manager to speak to this, please, before we open it up for debate.
Just to follow up on the fact that obviously the dog control orders came into effect on the 22nd of October 2014 and were updated in 2017. We were part of a consultation process, obviously with West Devon Borough Council at that stage, specific to areas relating to Tavistock Town Council. On individual schedules, we currently have dogs on leads at Courtlands Play Area, Whitchurch Play Area, the Meadows, Abbey Walk, Benson Meadows, St John's Avenue, and dog exclusion zone in relation to Plymouth Road Cemetery. The orders themselves obviously cover off the fact that West Devon Borough Council manage the enforcement side of it, and there is a fixed penalty notice up to £80 in relation to breaches. And looking at the consultation, there is nothing which is currently being changed in relation to the original dog control orders, and it appears that it's just an amendment with the 3 elements that you've outlined there.
Thank you. Open up for debate now. Anybody? Councillor Parker and then Councillor Moody.
Yeah, I must admit, I found myself puzzled when I looked at this. Wayne, could you explain these changes according to the council's website only take effect within PSPO order areas, which is public space? What counts as a public space for the purpose of these these orders? It's not a trick question. I'm just wondering what roads run through with 30-mile-an-hour limits run through public spaces.
I think I'd have to come back to you on that one, to be honest, because I don't know.
Okay. It puzzled me when I was reading it earlier, and I just can't make any sense of that.
Thank you, Councillor Parker.
John Clark can.
Councillor Moody next, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's not a comment on the motion in front of us. It's just there was a quite disturbing post on Facebook recently where there's dogs being allowed off the lead and attacking another dog. Not sure whether anybody saw it, but I just offer that for information and the possibility of looking at enforcement in that area.
Councillor Moody seems to have frozen. Could you finish your last piece, please, Councillor Moody? You seem to be on mute now.
Oh, right. No, I'm sorry. I just said that it just as a matter of interest for information that there are dogs running loose in the meadows.
Thank you for that information. Councillor Mrs. Mann, did you wish to speak? Councillor Mrs. Ewing next.
Yeah, I believe that we raised an issue previously about the enforcement of the current regulations, let alone any additional regulations, in the fact that they don't seem to be enforced regularly within the spaces that West Devon has been hired by the town council to enforce those. I know they use their locality officers who have lots of different duties, and therefore their time on sort of dog patrol is relatively minor, but I'm not sure adding more rules is the issue. I think Councillor Moody's comment on enforcement is probably the bigger issue, and it might mean that they need to actually allocate more time than more rules in order to get the behavior to change. I know, for instance, in Plymouth that there are people getting those fines in Plymouth for having their dogs off lead in public spaces. I have yet to hear of anyone who's gotten one in any of the spaces in Tavistock that are subject to the orders. I would still like to have some data from West Devon as to how they've enforced their current orders and how many citations that they've issued personally. That would be my response to any additional need for more rules.
Thank you. Town Clerk, we could ask West Devon for that information, please.
We can. I mean, there's a specific piece of work which is not yet done, which was about the overall impact of locality and localism kind of initiatives. I mean, it may well be something that the two borough councillors who are double hatters wish to take back as well. I'm conscious one is chairman of the scrutiny committee, so perhaps something around the number across the borough and in Tavistock specifically would be some useful information to all the communities who have public spaces protection orders.
Thank you. I seem to have lost Mrs. Ewing from my screen, unless she's changed position. I don't know if she's lost her connection. Perhaps that's something Councillor Moody could take back to the Borough Council, please. Thank you. Councillor Parker next, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can I, the second one, dog walkers must carry bags at all times to collect their dog's waste. I can't recall whether the current regulations make it an offence not to pick up the dog's waste. But it seems to me to be kind of half-hearted to force people to carry bags, not to use them.
So are you suggesting we should add on there that and pick up all the waste as and when necessary?
Words to that effect, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. I'm sure the Town Clerk could write something much more eloquent than that. Thank you. Right, so we've been asked to review the matter. Is that enough for us to feed back to the Borough Council on it? Can the Town Clerk confirm that that will happen, please?
Yes, we'll do that following this meeting once the minutes are drafted. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Items circulated for information only. Service reports. To receive for information the following service reports. Little one, the General Manager's report. Councillor Mrs. Mann, please.
I just had a question about the waste contract that was mentioned, and I think it was in this report. Am I correct? And whether or not we had managed to get the recycling sorted, which we had talked about last year.
General Manager, it's your report. Would you like to respond to that, please?
Yeah, the answer is no at this stage. I think in my report I've identified that we're going to look at the waste management contract. That was put on hold in sort of like February time when initial scoping exercise had been undertaken. Obviously, where we're currently at with our financial sort of situation, that's something that's absolutely got to come back on the table to look at the waste management contract and see if we can do things better and more efficiently.
Thank you. Any other questions to the General Manager? Councillor Parker?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I'm reminded that at a previous meeting, I asked the General Manager about the nature of the Bedford Cottages Energy Efficiency Scheme and whether that covered grants towards windows. I'm sure it slipped his mind as it slipped mine, but if we could have an answer to that question, please, that would be great, because we occasionally get applications to DMNL committee about the windows, and the question came up at a previous DMNL committee, and we've still not got an answer. So if I could just remind the General Manager about that.
Thank you very much, Councillor Parker. Any other comments or questions? Councillor Mrs. Mann?
Sorry, I just wanted to know, are you on schedule with the end of July for those blue plaques?
Sorry, I didn't catch an answer, General Manager.
Yes, we are.
Thank you. Excellent. So if there are no other comments or questions on this, can I thank the General Manager very much for his report. And we'll now move on to the report from the Town Hall and Butchers Hall and Works Department, which is enclosed in your papers. Any comments or questions on this, please? Can we note this report and thank Ms. Hadfield very much for preparing it. Move on now to the Pannier Market report. Any comments or questions? Councillor Mrs. Mann.
I just wanted to say how much good feedback that I've had from everyone about how the penny market has gone, and I'm glad to see that it's remaining busy even when people haven't been able to make their shifts. So that was really nice to see.
Yes, it's been very positive experience going to the Pannier Market. Councillor Squire.
These reports were presented at the consultative group on the 13th of July and were well received. It was acknowledged to be a very trying time, and I think the council should do its best to support staff during this particular period, but all seem to be adequate from the reports. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Squire. Councillor Moody.
Just one question, Madam Mayor. When are we considering extending the opening hours of the Pannier Market? Have I missed it in the report?
General Manager, would you respond, please?
Yeah, certainly. Within the report, it identifies that we're going to look at it at the back end of the 6 weeks of the opening. So we're probably going to have a meeting next week at some time with the COVID stakeholders.
Thank you. That's a group of 6 people who trade in the Pannier Market, I think, isn't it? Who have been working on the situation there since before lockdown, which is quite helpful. Right, any other comments or questions on this report? Right, can we thank Mr. Carruthers very much for this report, and then we'll move on to the next one, which is item 10, Finance and Other Matters. To receive for information the following: report of the Assistant to the Town Clerk, which is enclosed. Any comments you wish to make about your report, Mrs. Smallacombe? No. Any comments or questions from members? Right, can I thank Mrs. Smallacombe for her report? And if there are no comments or questions, we'll move on to the next item, which is item B, the Devon County Council report. To receive the report of County Councillor Mrs. Sellis. Councillor Parker.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Members will recall that at our last meeting, we asked 3 questions of Councillor Sellis. We got answers to 2 of them, which is number 1, the local bus service, the 89 bus. The answer was that there will be no subsidy or money for the 89 bus after the money from the Butcher Park Hill section 106 has been spent. It seems from the response that the 500,000 from Callington Road and the 120,000 from New Lanson Road isn't going to be spent on the 89 bus, although it's identified for local bus services. It also seems that the Plymouth Road site isn't going to be excuse me, asked for a contribution to the 89 bus either. So that's the situation on that one. On primary education, the information is either that there are barely enough spaces in the primary schools to accommodate the first 3 major developments in town, that's Callington Road, Butch Park Hill and New Lanson Road, and not to accommodate the Plymouth Road residents, or that we're already short. Again, that's the current situation on that one, and we've had a full response from the County Council on that. But the third one, which relates to, the third question relates to secondary education. The local plan makes it clear that improvement of secondary school facilities in Tavistock is a high priority of the local plan. That was signed off by Devon County Council, but no development has been asked for a contribution to secondary education. I think we all know that the state of the buildings at Tavistock College leaves quite a lot to be desired. We haven't yet had an answer to the question of how the County Council intends to supervise and provide the improvements to Tavistock College. So that's where we are on the three questions asked last time, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. I'm sure that we will keep a watching brief on the position with the secondary school and all the other matters as well, as these developments.
Indeed.
Yeah, thank you. Any other comments or questions on the County Councillor's report? Okay, can we note that then, please? Thank you. Item C, little c, Goose Fair fee setting meeting. This was the notes of the meeting held on the 5th of March, which seems an awful long time ago now. I think they're just for noting at this stage. I don't think there's anything there that we need to deal with because this year's Goose Fair is cancelled, so need to move on.
Noted, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Item D, project update to receive any additional oral update in connection with Tavistock Townscape Heritage Initiative Scheme. Town Clerk or General Manager? Town Clerk, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. If I may, I'll take the two together because, as members will be aware, they're both National Lottery Heritage Fund supported schemes. With regard to the THI, the evaluation is now well developed. With regard to both of them, we now have revised project programmes. Members will be aware that the outstanding issue we've got in relation to the THI is the public realm, which is taking place on the Guildhall car park area, and there are one or two complementary initiatives which are outstanding. Otherwise, the scheme itself is drawing to a close. We have our first meeting with the NLHF monitor since lockdown taking place in early August, so we will have a better feel for both the position of the projects as reviewed and assessed by them, and also where the sector is as a whole in terms of the impacts that project or the hits that projects themselves have taken. I suppose the one other thing that I should draw members' attention to is the possibility that the scheduled reopening, or scheduled opening, I should say, of the Guildhall Gateway Centre, which was originally targeted under the current programme for around about mid-February, which would have lent itself towards a soft opening prior to a more formal Easter opening and then running into the summer season, is now likely to be put forward. We haven't actually we haven't got to the point where we've had a full discussion with our anchor partners, THT. We've had a preliminary discussion with them, and we also need to have a conversation with NLHF. But it does seem to make sense for a number of reasons, not least, firstly, the fact that if there is slippage in the programme by virtue of COVID, and clearly there's already been slippage in the programme, that the mid-February date would become challenging and possibly not actually achievable. Secondly, we're also intensely mindful of the overall financial position of the council, and having the opportunity to commence at a date either at the start of the new financial year around about Easter, or perhaps at the June half term, provides a better opportunity for the council to be able to plan for that and make a more sustainable case. So we have no decisions have been made yet, but it's really giving members the heads up that for both essential operational reasons and funding reasons, we may, having had those discussions, need to push that further forward. But that does not in any way change the council's commitment to delivering this project in the best way possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Town Clerk. Any comments or questions from members? General Manager.
Just briefly to follow up on the public realm, I think it's just worth flagging that week commencing the 17th of August, we are looking at moving the Duke of Bedford statue. So it's just one to clock for your diaries.
Thank you. This is this has been in the plans for a long time, hasn't it, General Manager? Yeah. Okay, thank you. Right, we'll move on then to little e, to receive any update from or questions to council representatives serving on other outside bodies in connection with the work of those bodies. Does anybody have an update, please? Councillor Williamson.
Members, it's relating to the bid. Our last meeting was held on the 22nd of July, and I briefed the General Manager directly after that meeting, as most of the items were operational and affect the relationship between the bid and the Town Council at the operational level. But to make members aware, there is some dialogue and a dynamic review process relating to the barriers in town, and the General Manager and the bid manager are relating to each other about that. The Christmas lights, there was a decision as requested by the General Manager, which I passed to him, and he's aware of that. We will have Christmas lights in Tavistock in 2020. There was a decision taken, which is not yet in the public domain, about Dickensian, which the General Manager is aware of. And there was, I think that was about it, actually. I'm just checking my notes here. Yes, the bid will have a AGM in September regarding the normal cycle for the bid. And that's, I think, all I've got to say in this forum.
Thank you very much, Councillor Williamson. Any comments or questions to our bid representative? Anybody else have any reports to make? Councillor Mann.
I just wanted to say to Councillor Williamson, what a great job that the bid has been doing, and to pass on my congratulations, considering that they are not a local government agency, but that they've done an incredible job in this really difficult time to try and get the balance right. And I really appreciate how much that they have taken on, and I'm sure we all do.
Thank you.
I will relate that back to the bid at the next meeting, which happens to be tomorrow, where we're talking, I think, with members of council. I think there's an invitation to do that our clerk has put round. I'm not sure of the agenda of that yet.
Thank you. I think we'll be talking about that a bit later on in the agenda. Any other comments? No. Feedback from members following their attendance, any training sessions? There's a few online training sessions coming through from Mrs. Smallacombe, but I doubt if anybody's been on any training up until now. But there were opportunities. I booked on one for, I don't know, it's in my diary, I don't know quite when it is. Okay, item 11, to receive such communications or reports as may be submitted by the Town Mayor. I have none. Item 12, urgent matters brought forward at the discretion of the Town Mayor. I was just going to mention, just wondering how the 5 o'clock meetings are for people, whether they would wish them to be pushed back a bit, or does it work for the most people? Any comments? Seems to be getting the thumbs up from a lot of people. Councillor Mrs. Ewing, are you asking to speak? You're on mute.
Yes, please, Madam Mayor. I have found moving the meetings to Wednesdays absolutely impossible because I work, and I could almost say quite strongly I resent having my little tick box attendance dropping down because I'm having to work because the meetings have been moved to Wednesdays. The 5 o'clock is also quite difficult because if I am working, I don't get home until 5:45, 6 o'clock at the earliest. So the fact they're moved on a different day, but if they were at a normal time on the different day, I could have attended, but because they're not, you know, and as a working member of this council, I just wanted to throw that one into the mix because I'm dropping brownie points.
Thank you. I know that your attendance is important to you, as it is to all of us.
Very.
Councillor Ellis.
Yes, Madam Mayor, it's an absolute nightmare. Zoom meetings and 5 o'clock meetings. I essentially on a Tuesday I don't get to see my children until for 36 hours basically. However, I knew when I was taken on the council that it would interfere with family life. So as always, I think our meetings should be at the convenience of our officers. They are the ones that are working all day and expected to work longer hours and spend longer away from their family. So, you know, if it remains at 5 o'clock for the convenience of our officers, then I'm happy with that. As always, we should support them.
Okay, I think Councillor Mrs Ewing, we would try always to have a meeting on a Tuesday rather than a Wednesday, but it seems that lots of people seem to be in favour of the 5 o'clock start. Town Clerk, please.
I just wanted to thank Councillor Ellis for what he's just said. It is very much appreciated, but these are absolutely the members' forum, and it's about the slot that works for you as members best. The options realistically are, I'm assuming that we stick with the days of Tuesdays as being the primary meeting day, are essentially we stay with where we are at 5 o'clock, we revert to the times that we had previously, which broadly speaking were 6:15, 6:30 or 6:45, or members go for something in the middle. Now, we aren't in a position to make a formal decision now, but if there was a clear consensus, and if it's 5 o'clock, that's fine. But I do think it really does need to be what works for you as members from that point of view. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else have any comments to make? So we're going to, I think we'll try and focus on a Tuesday, which has always been town council meetings, and to continue it at 5 o'clock, or move it to later. Sorry, as my telephone's going, which isn't very good, is it? Councillor Parker.
Yes, I've said at meetings before that there's a couple of us who are shielding and will continue to shield for some time, and so Zoom meetings I will always be voting for. It would be, I think, hypocritical of me then not to recognise that Councillor Ewings has a personal problem as well, and if Councillor Ewings really can't make 5 o'clock, then in the same way that I'm hoping that members will take my wishes into account, I think we ought to try and accommodate Councillor Ewings as well. She is a working member of the council, and it's a shame if we're holding meetings at a time that debars her from attending. I don't know what we do about that, but I think it needed to be said.
Thank you, Councillor Hutton.
I just wonder if we moved it to 5:30, that would obviously help Mandy a little bit. Would probably also help Councillor Ellis a little bit, I assume, would it? I don't know. And it shouldn't be too much to the detriment of most of us. I wonder if it's worth proposing that we meet at 5:30 on a Tuesday and give that a go. Would that help, Mandy?
A Tuesday is fine, providing West Devon don't go back to their meetings starting at 4 o'clock, because they've also made their meetings earlier. So there's that difference as well. So 5:30 be fine that way. I have always taken Tuesday as my day off as a councillor. So I can always put the council first on a Tuesday. And I've done that as councillor. Mrs. Johnson will testify for donkey's years that, her and I have always used our days and our work days according to how we fit in our council commitments. And on those days, they become our priority. So 5:30 would be great because I wouldn't get a black mark because I'd be around. But if it was a Tuesday, and Councillor Moody might say we may have difficulties because if West Devon go back to moving theirs to 4 o'clock, it could cause difficulties again. But they seem to have moved a lot of their meetings times to slightly earlier. But thank you, Councillor Hutton, and thank you, Councillor Parker.
Thank you. Councillor Ellis, would 5:30 suit you? Or is that just as difficult?
It would make absolutely no difference, Madam Mayor. I'm working from 0700 anyway, so it just makes a long day longer. I'm happy to fit in with the majority as always.
Right, can I go to the town clerk next, please? You said we can't make a decision today, but how can we move this forward? Does it need to go on the next council agenda?
I think if there is a consensus, Madam Mayor, you'll recall that we agreed the calendar of meetings, but there was a caveat in that the times might change. If there's a consensus here, then we can adopt that going forward as an administrative action based upon that caveat. Equally, if there is no change, then that's fine as well. So I don't know whether you want to test the meeting to see if there is a consensus, and then we can administratively change from there. Unless it's significant, we can do that on that basis.
Right. Okay, Councillor Parker, then we'll see what everybody else says, please.
Yeah, I was just going to observe on the same point that the town clerk was making, that it makes no difference to Councillor Ellis. So really, it's down to Councillor Ewings. And if at the moment, Councillor Ewings, you're able to make 5 o'clock, and the problem will come when West Devon changes its procedures, then I suggest that we leave things as they are, because everybody was nodding at the 5 o'clock point until we had this little discussion. Does that make sense, Mandy?
You need to mute, Mandy.
Yeah, well, I've got rid of everybody as well, so I don't know what I've done. Thank you very much, Councillor Parker. Yes, that would be, really helpful. It is just when we go to Wednesdays that, it is really difficult. And, being working as I do, if I don't work, I don't get paid. It's not as if I can just, blag a bit of time, work through my lunch break or something. It doesn't work like that when you're a carer.
No.
So
okay,
it would be really helpful.
Okay, so I think the consensus is that we stay at 5 o'clock, but I think it's been... Councillor Mrs Ewing, you asking to speak?
No, I'm trying not to. There I am.
Right, so the consensus is that we stay at 5 o'clock and meetings will be on Tuesday whenever possible. Is that the agreement? Can you just show by show of hands that you agree with that? That's looking good. Okay, thank you very much indeed. I think it was worth talking about. So that concludes this part of the meeting. Councillor Moody?
Yes, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to, no doubt by this stage, all members will probably be aware that the Bedford car park toilets, 2 toilets have been opened today. One being a unisex toilet and one being a disabled toilet. I'm not sure whether you've had formal notification of it today.
I think the town clerk has he?
I think, Madam Mayor, we circulated this morning a document to members which covered that off, and Councillor Moody's quite right. West Devon Borough Council have reopened the toilets, as I understand it, for the remainder of the financial year in view of the impact of the COVID crisis and to support the community.
Okay, thank you very much. So we will now, Councillor Mrs Ewing? No?
Yes, please. I thought it was until the end of the summer, Mr. Town Clerk.
That's what I believe as well.
Yeah, don't get carried away in your beliefs. The other thing is I don't know whether members are aware, but tomorrow when the council have got an exceptional full council meeting, there's the motion to look at fusion and a swimming pool, etc. But the one that may be of more interest is that the Abbey Rise car park is being proposed to become a short stay car park. Just to let you all know that that may be happening tomorrow.
Okay, what time is that, Councillor Mrs Ewing?
I'm going to say 4 o'clock now. I think they might have reverted back to times. I think it is 4 o'clock.
Okay, I'll find out. Thank you. Right, so that concludes the first part of the meeting. I think we now take a 10-minute break and then we will return for part 2. The joining instructions for the confidential part of the meeting are on your original email, further down on the email with the new login details and pass number. Town Clerk, anything else?
Nothing to add. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Right, so 10 minutes.